In any country, sport is a male-dominated industry. And that's exactly where you'll find Busisiwe Mokwena, the rose amongst the thorns. Her journey in sport has taken her all over the globe, but she still remembers where she comes from. Busi was born in Umhluzi, a township outside of Middelburg, Mpumalanga. And that's where her love for sport was born. We caught up with her to give us her narrative.
Man, yeah, I love where I grew up. That's where, I learned a lot of things. I come from a family of 8, including my parents, so I have 5 siblings. I'm the 5th. I was almost the last one, but hey, yeah, unfortunately, but yeah, that's me. I don't know if there's a one-line story of how I fell in love with sport, but there are incidents here and there of me taking part in sport or watching sport that led to me wanting to do this. In primary school, would play football, and then there's also me coming home from school, and I'd find my sister and brother watching cricket, and because they wouldn't want to change the channel, I was forced to learn the rules of the sport. And trying out for athletics in primary school, I was terrible, like honestly speaking. I was really, really bad, but it's something, I wanted to take part in. And also when I went through to high school, I was in the athletics team and I played volleyball as well. And then later in my life, basketball. There has to be Carol Chabalala, Cynthia Chaka, Romy Titus, because those are the people that I watched first, in who were covering sport. So I think maybe watching them, for me, it also became, like a dream, like, it is possible for me or for a woman, to do well in sport. When it comes to athletes, it has to be Josiah Tugwana, mainly because he's also from, that area. He's from Ochis, which is just about 30-40 minutes drive out of Middelburg. So he's someone, when he won the marathon at the Atlanta Olympics, like we were watching him at home actually. So he's one of those who I looked up to, who I really enjoyed watching. Sometimes athletes and administrators do not take you seriously. Even female athletes, sometimes they would rather speak to a certain journalist who's more established, than you, who's seen as a junior. There are a lot of challenges, but through them, I guess you learn how to go about the industry, whether you are having troubles with administrators who do not want to give you a minute, to chat, or whether it's athletes, or maybe, struggling to language barrier sometimes. For example, the Soweto Marathon, most of the time it's won by Ethiopians, and they speak a different language. You do not know the language. There's an interpreter. You ask a question, the athlete responds, like maybe about a 30-second long response, and then the translator will just give you like 5 words. 3 words, and it's those kind of challenges that you go through, which is why it's important to learn other languages outside of South African languages. They are heard, but they are silenced as well. An example, I write a lot on the negative treatment that female athletes receive, whether netball players who don't get paid on time, or Banyana players who suffer also the same injustices. But because I write those kind of stories, I get to be like shut out of things. When you tend to speak out, there'll be people who want to shut you up, especially if those your comments about that certain sport or that federation, it makes them feel uncomfortable. Portia Modise, for an example. Portia Modise has always been vocal about issues at Banyana Banyan. And then what happened to her? Where is Portia now? Out in the cold. why is Portia not used in the national team? Because honestly speaking, Banyana are not doing that well in front of goal. We struggle to get goals. Why she not used there? I mean, she's the top goal scorer in South Africa in terms of international goals. Why is she not used at Banyana level? You know, I think for me, that's also a way to silence her. Because, you know, if she was in SAFA or national team structures, a lot would change. Hopefully someday the numbers will balance, but also that will depend on the passion that people have for sports media. Women, that is, mainly, because if they want to come into sports media and they do have the passion to report and learn about, you know, the industry, then maybe we'll have the numbers balanced. But currently, you'd find at a press conference, there's just 2 women or 3. It's always dominated by men. And honestly speaking, that makes it hard for young women to learn the ropes, because you want to, when you get into an industry, you want to speak to someone you can relate to. And unfortunately, not as much. You can't really relate to a man. Young men getting into the industry have it a bit more easier than women getting into the industry. Because firstly, as a woman, you are looked at as, are you really in this for it? But a young man would be given tips like, okay, this is what you can do. Hey, there's this story. It's a machita. Yes, it's a small team. It's a junior team, but you know, these are things that you can find out maybe from this thing. But as a girl, you just looked at. Firstly, they really need to have the passion for it, because honestly, it's not easy. I spent my birthday at a floor of an airport, like the whole day. You know, you need to know why you want to do this. You have to realize that your life won't belong to you anymore. You will miss a lot of family events. You will not have a social life. You might not have a social life. It depends though. You know, sometimes you are able to juggle all of them. Sometimes it's just a bit too much. You must really, really want it, honestly speaking. But also a qualification is really important. Go to school, study journalism, you know, qualify, but in the meantime, while you're trying to get there, avail yourself in terms of volunteering. If you know there's a soccer team or maybe a local radio station or newspaper where you can learn, you know, the skills of the trade. The recent one is covering the senior athletics, African athletics champs in Nigeria. What an experience. Shoo. You know, on that trip, I spent my birthday on the floor of the airport because we were stuck there. It's a lesson on how to toughen up in the industry, because, you know, you travel a lot. You travel to other countries which don't have the facilities that South Africa has. Actually, I met a journalist there from Uganda, and he said us South Africans are spoiled because when we travel, we expect to receive the same kind of treatment and facilities and other things that we get here at home. And when we don't get them, we seem to be throwing tantrums around. But because we don't know how to respond, you know, to such. Another one was traveling to the Netherlands to cover the MDC tour. I don't remember which year it was, but that's also one of my highlights. Another is, I guess, winning my first G-Sport award, mainly because after that, I got a bit of recognition. People started to take me seriously. You know, they started reading my work. And, you know, when I go to press conferences, they knew who I am now. So far, I guess those 3 are top of the list. On a personal level, it's a pat on the back, you know, to say, you know, I'm going the right direction. But also, it's some form of reward or payback to my family for, for supporting me, to do this thing that I'm doing now, because I left home, came to Joburg to study, and then after I was done, I had to stay on. Yeah, for me, that's what they mean. But also, they say those awards mean that I need to work harder, because the plight of women's sports in South Africa, it's still a bit rough. There's still like a lot of work that needs to be done for women in sports media, for the athletes themselves, and for female administrators who are not really taken seriously when it comes to the work that they put in for those different projects that they do. I'm looking into writing books. Hopefully by 2022, they'll be out. I say they because it's two. I'm studying at the moment, doing my honors with Wits University. I'm almost done, and I hope I'll be graduating next year. So should I graduate and and become accepted to study an MA, I want to do that because I want a doctorate. I want a PhD. I want to become a Dr. Busisiwe Mokwena. One thing which is really big that I'd like to do is bring back sport in Middleburg, in Clusi, because it's dried out. Like, it's dried up. A lot of schools don't take part in sporting competitions anymore. It's just sad. So that's one major thing that I would like to do, bring sports in Middleburg, because that's the only way that I was able to, fall in love with it and be where I am today.